Okay, thank you. Okay, but yeah, welcome again to the presentation portion of our event. So for the top 8 finalists, we're super excited to see your design process and learn more about your products. Okay, so here are our lovely judges that have been kind enough to spend their Sunday working on grading. And then to briefly go over our agenda for today, we have finalist presentations happening right now, and we expect these to end around 5 p.m. and each presentation will be timed for about 7 minutes each. And then for anyone who goes over the 7 minutes, Kevin will stop them. And then there's at 6 p.m. we have a different Zoom link for our closing ceremony. And then that's when we'll be announcing the winners for Impact 2022 along with raffle winners. And then yeah, don't forget to post in like our Just for Fun channel for a chance to win. Okay, and then also, just before we start going into presentations, we wanted to give a brief explanation about why we went with this rubric, because there's like some conversation about it and we just wanted to clarify. So it's not that we were trying to disregard user research or your design thinking process by only evaluating UI UX in the first round. We expect all teams to know about like their target audience user research and have a design thinking process. It's just that with the time constraint, you guys are given like less than 48 hours to create an entire prototype. So we didn't want to create the additional pressure of creating a slide deck with all that research. And then on our end too, it's like a very short time for us to grade all 31 projects. So we ended up making the executive decision to grade the prototype first, since this is a design-a-thon. And of course, user research is important for like UI UX design. So that's why the finalists are given the chance to present these to us. And then you can see it's like pretty weighted pretty heavily on the rubric still. So yeah, therefore with like these limitations, like as a designer who's going to work under time constraints in the future, we hope you understand that we did our best to provide a fair and reasonable rubric considering the situation. But yeah. Kevin is going to talk about presentations now.
All right, so next up, we're going to have the presentations. So finalist teams will present their projects. Wait, sorry. So finalist teams will present their projects. Finalists won't be chosen based on numerical scores, but were chosen after careful deliberation amongst the entire judging panel. So congratulations. Now, please share your screen for your slide deck or prototype and turn on your cameras. So first up, we're going to have Activate HDX from Team Activate.
I'll stop screen sharing and give you guys screen sharing powers soon. So yeah, you guys should have power now, so feel free to start.
Hey guys, we're Team Activate. My name is Rebecca Yee.
I'm Mia Mapula. Oops.
So just a bit of introduction. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a sophomore at Rice University, and I majored in cognitive sciences with a minor in environmental studies. I'm interested in UI UX design, and this is my first design-a-thon.
I'm Mia. I'm also from Houston, Texas. I'm also a sophomore at Rice University, and I'm also majoring in cognitive sciences. I'm pursuing a minor in engineering design, and I'm interested in UI UX and product design, and this is also my first design-a-thon.
So defining our problem. We originally decided to go with the social justice topic. And when initially brainstorming, we had a lot of ideas that could target specific social justice issues, but then we kept going back to one problem. Regardless of the type of social justice event, it's hard to streamline the information and get the word out, because ultimately attendance of these social justice events is the most important part. And as college students, we've experienced firsthand that multiple modes of communication for announcing events like Facebook, Instagram, and GroupMe can get really complicated.
So as native Houstonians, we were actually approached by a friend who wanted to get involved in Houston events, but we actually struggled to tell her where to look because it's been hard for us. So we wanted to make an app that has this all in one place so native Houstonians and newcomers can join together to support their favorite causes. So we wanted to make the process easy for our users to find social justice events that are close by and related to their interests and establish long-term connections with social justice organizations.
So for our research, here at Rice, we have a residential college system where basically a residential college is like a microcosm of the university population. So we sent a quick poll to a residential college group asking about college students' ability to find social justice events in Houston, specifically because we are Houstonians, and 69% of these respondents felt that it was difficult to find these events. So this statistic, combined with our firsthand experience of trying to find events to attend, motivated us to find and design a potential solution.
Yeah, so when we started brainstorming and wireframing, we really wanted to have a generally simple idea that is easy for users to use, since definitely, as we said before, it's pretty hard to find events and find them all in one place. So we just wanted to have a really cohesive app.
So main features. First, to allow users the ability to select the social justice topics that they're interested in, we had an onboarding page where they can select specific topics, for example, climate change, racial justice, women's rights, etc. Then there's the main events page, which is basically their feed where the upcoming events are displayed related to their interests, and users have the ability to register for these events in app. Next, we have a save page. So if users are kind of not sure about registering completely for an event, they can save these events and register for them at a time that is more convenient for them. And lastly, we have a calendar page. So this is where users can see their upcoming schedule for all of the events that they're registered for, as well as calendars for the organizations that they're following and they want to stay up to date on these organizations' upcoming events.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share and open our Figma screen. So here you have the onboarding or welcome page of Activate, and you would simply get started. So our mission, again, is to provide you with one space for all of your city's social justice events. It can be hard to stay up to date on everything that's happening, but Activate is here for you. So you would simply register or log in. I'm going to register, put my first and last name, email, password, and also our zip code just to have events that are closer to you. So then you would have this page right here that would offer you just different topics that you want to like filter in. So women's rights, food drives, and voting. And I would want to see events near me. So in our explore page, you can simply scroll and find events coming up. So the Women's Rights March, the primary election voting, and the Houston Food Bank donation. You can also learn more and see that it's in Discovery Green at 9 a.m. You can actually register in app. And if I say want to find more food drives, I would search food, and food drives would come up, but also some pretty popular organizations would come up, like the Houston Food Bank, which I can follow. And then I will also be able to see my saved. So I'm really interested in going to the primary election voting event, but I'm not sure yet. I don't want to register yet, so I'll simply save it here. In our calendar, you can see first the registered events that you have. So like I said, I'm registered for the Women's March and it's here. And also I followed the Houston Food Bank and their donation drive is shown here. And lastly, in our account, you can see your information, your interests. So say you want to fill this out again, maybe add some climate change information, you just simply edit it. You can also see the organizations you're following and turn on and off push notifications. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we're really excited to be here.
Oh, Mia, do you want to continue our next step slide?
Oh, are we good on time?
Yes, you guys have a minute left.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can quickly cover that. Thank you. So if we did have more time, what would we do? So we have currently designed our app only from a community member's point of view, not actual organizations. So we would next implement a process for organizations like the Houston Food Bank to easily upload their own events so that community members can access them and register for them. We were also thinking of adding a friends feature. So people could see what their friends are doing, like registering for events and what events that they're interested in hopes of building a stronger community around specific social justice movements. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.
All right, thank you guys. Next up, we're gonna have Team Go Bruins present their product, the Lorax.
Perfect, thank you. Give me a few seconds here to get started. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. I am Joanna Chen, and this is my partner Celine. And so we'll get started. Hold on. Too many screens open. Perfect. Okay, so to provide some context, we decided to go with the sustainability route, and we wanted to talk about how a more sustainable lifestyle is very crucial for our future. And however, it is very difficult to find motivation to be sustainable, especially when a sustainable lifestyle is perceived as often less convenient or more costly. So our target audience for this app was college students, because that's the population we're a part of and can easily empathize with, and under short notice can get quick user interviews with. So let's move on into our app. So our app seeks to, one, break down the notions that a sustainable lifestyle is less convenient or too costly, and two, assisting and incentivizing our users to build more sustainable habits. So titled The Lorax, the app brings a lighthearted, nostalgic feel instead of like what we feel as like super detrimental and super like doomsday type talk about sustainability. So next up, we want to talk about our process. So we based our entire design research process on the double diamond. And so we started with background research about sustainability. So that included doing Google searches, doing Instagram searches, and then searching through our app store and reading reviews about what was working about certain apps and what wasn't. And then from there, we took it to user interviews about sustainability, and then took it into affinity diagramming to understand what needs there were and what isn't working about sustainability for them, basically. So then we ended up defining the problem, which is that sustainability is not accessible and there are not enough incentives to live a sustainable lifestyle. So from there, we then took it into brainstorming to consider all the user needs and discuss all potential solutions. Then sketching, user flow, lo-fi wireframes, eventually branding, visual identity, and the final prototype that we submitted. From there, we obviously hopped into some user interview questions. We had 12 total. And to kind of summarize what we asked, we kind of tried to get a context of what sustainability meant to them, what type of avenues they already knew about, and then including what type of practices they already do. And then we started talking about like what areas of life they wanted to be more sustainable in, and also what is kind of stopping them from being sustainable. That was one of our key points in understanding what is needed within the community and within our population. We also decided to ask the question of what apps do you use the most, and then kind of see if they can gauge why they use certain apps to better understand our population. So for example, a lot of people use TikTok, Instagram, and so on. And a lot of that is to either find community or find entertainment. So we wanted to also embed those in our app to help attract users. And then finally, if there are incentives, because we want to be incentive driven on this app, we want to be sustainable or encourage people to be sustainable. And we kind of asked like what would help them be sustainable. So some of those included monetary ones, and some included other ones such as like friendly competition. So I will discuss that further on the next slide. So these are our user interview results. We conducted a total of 10 user interviews. I'm going to hop into another page right here. So in here, you can see all of our user research autonomized. We took these from all of our interviews and broke down exactly what people were missing and what wasn't working. We then did the affinity diagramming to kind of understand that users seem to be dealing with a lack of motivation, incentive, or effort. They're unable to kind of see or feel the impact that they're making. And being sustainable is too time consuming, too expensive, too inconvenient, and just like a lack of knowledge overall. Then we also obviously studied some other aspects, such as the incentives. So talking about being able to see the impact that they're making. Gamification seemed like a really good route to start working towards, friendly competition, and monetary incentives. So then jumping back into our presentation. So from user research, we gathered the knowledge that it's incentive, time, money, knowledge, convenience, and inability to see one's impact, which can be summarized as a lack of access to a sustainable lifestyle and a lack of incentive. So our app needs to incentivize, offer information, and calculate and display the impact. So to hop into our app real quick, basically you can register, log in, and then get started. So we have a quick onboarding to let you know how the app functions. And how we tried to promote sustainability. You can see your progress. So it's kind of like a habit tracker where you're able to track how many days you've done a certain sustainable practice for. And then you can see your leveling up, like Thomas Lorax. And then you can compete with friends. So you can see a leadership board of how many days your friends are on, kind of like, for example, if you've seen Duolingo, you can kind of compete with friends on how many days you've gone on for. So this is kind of the starter page. You're an embryo. It's a nice way to start, but click the button to kind of choose your first habit. Here is the list of habits we have. So zero waste, we can decide where we want it, how often we want to track it. We want to be notified. And then obviously many days later, 156 would show up. And then sustainability tips are also updated daily in case they want to embed certain ones, and they should be geared towards college students. And then you can also see your leadership board and see if you're in the lead. So that is our way of like gamifying and kind of encouraging this level of sustainability. Okay, and I'll let my Celine.
Yes, yes, anywho. Yeah, so in terms of just with the visual aspect, with branding ideation, we did a lot of close reference and research with the actual movie because we thought that was a great way to present the whimsy and just the general lightheartedness of that. And we also compared it with a lot of apps that use a lot of green. So a big reference for us was this cider sort of product where they use a lot of green, but they also had these kinds of beautiful shape works here. So it was a really fun way for us to invent our own shape language for this format. So with the design iterations here, we were exploring through what format would the Lorax look best, either through a full upper body, like full limb and sort of context in that regard, or it turns out that having this noodle arm is a lot better, a lot closer to the actual characterization. And we were also exploring other iterations of what we might include within our app with these earlier lo-fi frames here. So one of the things we also presented earlier just now with the habit portion was that we have all these icons. So we wanted to portray that with a little bit of more fun. So overall, we just wanted to say thank you so much. And we're very grateful that we were able to present today to all those who were speakers, participants, and organizers. We're really appreciative towards you. And for those who would like to access all of these, please click on the link. We will provide it in the chat below. And then, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I was just on time. All right. Next up, we have Team Grass Jelly, who will be presenting the product Recycling.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, hi everyone. We are Grass Jelly and we are all come from UC1. And my name is Ali. So let's begin. So we all know that recycling is an important process for our planet and it's both for the environment and sustainability. But you know, in the traditional recycle process, we just roll cans of all kind of recycle waste in a bin, and all of them going to a waste the waste car. And this car will go to a single recycling station, and the worker of the station will spend a significant amount of time to separate all kinds of waste and finally recycle them. So we want like people to categorize the waste by themselves at home before recycle them. And this can actually decrease the burden of the recycling and increase the efficiency. But when finding the recycling stations, we noticed that it's hard to find.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we're looking at a Google Maps right now. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're wanting to show, or you were trying to show a slide deck.
Yeah, that's what I want to show.
Okay, awesome. Sorry then.
So when finding the recycling stations, we notice that it's really hard to find one we want. So for example, if we want to go to a station that opens to public and accept the PET bottles, we may spend a lot of time to do the research. As you can see, like there are a lot of recycling service at the R1, but I think they really don't have refill information on these pages. So yeah, so We also did a quick research by asking our friends who had tried to recycle their bottles by themselves, and they all have the same concern. So we want to make an app that provides useful information for people to like find all of this info about the recycling centers. And before this topic, we also brainstormed, can say a variety of topics, and we finally decided to do the recycle one. And after that, we build a Google Doc and list our audience, the goal of the app, and the functions we want to hide. And we didn't adopt all of them. And after that, we draw the sketches for each of our screens, each tabs, and then we draw the very basic design of our app. And finally, here comes to the prototype. So after login, here is a map for the user that can the user can see all of the recycling services around them. And here is also a list for that. It's sorted by the distance. And so if the user only want to see the recycling services, they can open the filter, or if they want to just recycle their clothing. And if the user wants a more detailed filter, they can use this one, and to fill each kind of the materials. And here's the detailed page for the each recycling services, like the can of it, and the photo, and their accepted materials. And they can navigate to it and call or open their website. So more importantly, the user can actually add the information and to like aid what kind of materials they accept or their operating hours. And the user can also add new recycling services by themselves. Yeah, and this is for a closed Dropbox. So the user can, after they recycle something, the user can record their recycles by, they can actually upload their receipt or just enter the information manually, and they can say like how total CO2 emissions reduction they made by recycling their stuff, or their weight, or total cashback. So you can get some cashback by recycling at the recycle stations, or they can like weigh them by categories or by the location. And this is the records. And by opening it, you can see the details for like each of your recycle, and yeah, like each kind of materials. And finally, it's a guide to let the user to know how can they recycle, and why do they need to recycle. Like we made a research that's like recycle 1 kilogram of each materials can result in how many CO2 reductions. Like for glasses, it can result in 0.31 kg of reduction in CO2 emissions. So, and this page is supposed to display more information about like importance of recycle this kind of materials, but due to the timely manner, we didn't show them here. And also the cans and the PET bottles. And here's some supposed to be some articles about like let the user know why need
Sorry to
to.
interrupt. sorry to interrupt, but time is up for this
Okay.
presentation. Thank
Yeah,
you very
that's
much.
it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so next up, we will have Team Ratatouille presenting their product, Ratatouille.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, you can see the Figma link.
Awesome. Alrighty, so this is our project. We are Team Ratatouille. I'm Michelle. I'm a fourth year cognitive science student at UCLA.
I'm Stephanie. I'm a fourth year sociology student at UCLA.
Yeah. So just for some background on our project, so Ratatouille is focused on food sustainability. Currently, food sustainability is one of the biggest issues to our climate crisis. As you can see to this graph on the right, you see how much CO2 emissions beef, lamb, and things like cheese are all emitting. And these are things that people eat on the daily, maybe 2 times a day, maybe 3 times a day. So the more the human population grows, the more food that needs to be provided, and our planet just can't keep up. So one way to have a more sustainable diet is to cut out meat. And just like a statistic is that vegans can generate a 41.7% smaller volume of greenhouse gases than meat eaters. So just like a small change to your diet can affect so much. And so this is our problem statement.
I don't know if it's just me, but okay, it was slow. So our problem statement is, although many would consider altering their diet, individuals are accustomed to their current diet preferences and fear that taste, price, and convenience will be sacrificed with a more sustainable diet. And we'll go into like how we came up with this problem statement in the future or in the later research slides.
Yeah, so we basically conducted user research. Due to the limited time we had, we drafted a survey and we received 30 responses. So 55% of those who answered have considered changing their diet at one point in their life, whether they already have changed it or they're considering a change in the future. Taste, price, and motivation are currently the biggest obstacles to a change in diet. So people often think that vegan food doesn't taste good, it's more expensive, and they're also lazy to change their diet. Taste, time, and difficulty are the most important when deciding what to cook. So not only are we a food sustainability app, but also it revolves around cooking. So these are also very important factors to consider. And just to give everyone like a lens of our users, so here are some user quotes. Most revolve around the discipline that changing a diet can require, or often that people have thought about going vegetarian, but they don't think it's really possible to completely give up meat. And then some say they're too accustomed to the taste and accessibility of meat. And then you can also see our graphs on the right here. So people are kind of like slightly willing to like a little less than willing to change their diet from the 4, 5, 6. And then everyone is, or 50% of people are also willing to try new things, but they're still attached to their current diet. So this is something that's really important in our next few slides.
So with our user research, we were able to define the problem more into 5 categories of pain points that users had. So number 1 is sacrifice. People are afraid that they have to sacrifice the taste, convenience, and price of their meals if they opted for a more sustainable one. Also an awareness. A lot of people are just in general unaware that diet change could decrease carbon emissions. A lot of people also struggled with motivation, so they're lazy to spend time researching and finding new recipes for diet change. And they're also afraid and fear the unfamiliar, so they feel attached to their current diet and meals, so they oftentimes don't want to give up what they already have and change their diet. And lastly, capability. A lot of people feel like they aren't able to change their diet or make a difference with this type of diet change, so they fear that they're incapable. And in order to come up with some solutions, we were able to brainstorm like different functions and features we wanted to have in the app regarding these pain points. So for sacrifice, we wanted to be able to provide alternative recipes that are familiar to people, also emphasize that small steps make a big difference, and also provide details on time, price estimates, and reviews inside the app so that they can ensure that the taste remains of quality. For an awareness, we want to provide information about significance in onboarding, also put an emphasis on carbon footprint numbers so that people know that they can make a change with what they're consuming, and also provide some resources for them to learn more about carbon footprint and consumption of meals. And then also for motivation, we wanted to include a progress tracker so they can keep track of their progress, and also recommend recipes that are familiar so that this kind of like makes them more motivated to continue like their meals that they're already making. For unfamiliarity, we wanted to provide, again, alternate recipes that are familiar to them so that this makes them more comfortable with it, and also have a survey and onboarding so that they can put in their favorite cuisines. So this allows us to recommend meals that are familiar. And for capability, we wanted to have language that ensures that people don't have pressure to like change their diet or guilt trip them to change their diet, but instead kind of inspire them. And also provide similar recipes with different carbon footprints so they don't need to make the change that fast, and also have progress tracking in order to help them know that they are capable.
Cool. So after we defined the problem and the solution, we started moving to low fidelity. These are just our very basic sketches on paper, and you can see like the beginnings of our screens and some very intro information architecture.
And our solution is Ratatouille. So basically, Ratatouille is an app that aims to inspire individuals to pursue a more sustainable diet in order to decrease carbon emissions. And we basically want anyone to be able to cook sustainably.
Okay, since we're low on time, so basically our onboarding process aims to show users that even small steps can make a change. And as you're seeing here on this GIF, you're able to select what diets you're willing to try. So if you're not willing to go vegan yet, you can go somewhere else. They can also select their favorite cuisines. And it also shows them statistics of how little steps can make a big change. So eating vegan one day a week can make this many changes.
And here's the dashboard. So it displays the most important information to users like time, price, diet, and carbon emissions. It also uses the user sphere about taste and flavor with community reviews, and also just brings awareness to alternate recipes with different carbon emissions. So if they're not ready to make the change, they can always look at different options. So for example, if you're not ready to go vegan, there are vegetarian options, or even like
so sorry to cut you
recipes.
off. But time is up. Yeah, thank you guys for presenting.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so next up, we are going to have Team Spectrum presenting their product, Spectrum.
Hi. Hold on just one sec. Sorry, I'm having trouble like unmuting myself. Okay. There we go. And this is not on the right one. Okay, hi. We're Team Spectrum. My name is Emmy. I'm a fourth year communications student at UCSB, and my teammates are, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a second year comm major at UCSB.
Hello, my name is Kylie. Pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a second year comm major at UCSB, and this is my first design contest.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler. I'm also a second year economics and communication major, and this is also my first design contest.
Our product is called Spectrum, and it's an app about making social justice education easier. So a little bit about the problem. We did some survey research due to time constraints for our user research, and we found that I think it was like 52% respondents feel that it's somewhat draining and hard to learn about social justice issues. And we also asked them like what sort of would make them want to learn more about social justice issues. But anyway, the consensus was that school curriculum is lacking around social justice issues unless you're pursuing a degree in humanities or a subject that would require you to do like really long academic readings. And but these issues are still important. So there should be an easier, less tolling way for people to learn about it.
Making social justice learning more digestible and interactive. Discussing such hefty topics can often be daunting, but Spectrum really wanted to create a safe, inviting space for people to learn about such integral topics. We adopted learning, gaming, and discussion styles inspired by Duolingo, We're Not Really Strangers, Kahoot, and Trivia Crack, as well as mental health check-ins. Through this friendly approach, we believe that users would have fun while learning, and this will assist in making the social justice learning experience a little less overwhelming.
So Spectrum's mission is to make social justice education much easier. And through this, we are using digestible exercises and mental health check-ins in which we can make sure that you learn about systematic injustice without burning out. So for this app, our primary target audience is the people of adolescent to adult age as a general audience, but Spectrum wants to make it more specific and geared towards educators at public schools. We aim to provide this app as a fun, engaging opportunity for students to learn about social justice on any level they want.
In order to execute our solutions for this project, we wanted to go toward a more minimalistic approach to our design. And the little faces that we drew, and I'm going to show the prototype example in a bit, but we just kind of wanted to lift the spirits of such heavy topics that can sometimes be triggering for some people, just to give them like a reminder that you need to take a break when in taking all this information. Thank you. And if there are any questions, we can wait till the end, but right now I will be showing the prototype. I mean, if you could allow me to share screen, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I actually, oh, hold on. Okay.
So if I press get started right here, start learning. This is our little welcome page. Welcome to Spectrum. Using digestible exercises and mental health check-ins, we make sure that you can learn about systemic injustice without burning out. So this is sort of like our mission statement. And right here, we wanted to create some sort of timely aspect of our app. So daily, it would have a fact of the day that would relate to how that day was significant in history. So this relates to LGBTQ plus history and how Mahatma Gandhi's practices are now used in a social justice group called Soul Force.
So for this, these are the types of categories in which you would choose to learn about any of these social injustice issues, ranging from prison industrial complex, environmental justice, socioeconomic disparities, LGBTQ plus and gender issues, and so much more going down the list. And it would be much scrollable in a more completed version. Next slide, please. And we're going to choose prison industrial complex first. So when we go into this, you're going to choose a level ranging from levels 1 to level 5. Level 1 would be like the most like basic information about like the socioeconomic issue or like just about the social injustice issue. And as you go higher in levels, these would invoke more emotions as they get much more like real and more like grueling to read about and just learn about the history ranging from all these topics. Can you click level 2 next?
So the first part of like this game progression that we have is the discussion, kind of inspired by We're Not Really Strangers cards that you'd use to like discuss with your friends. You're given like we did 5 minutes, but like a certain amount of time to discuss this with your classmates, your friends, or even just think about it inside of your head. So we pose a question. What do you think the connection between race and the prison industrial complex is? And yeah, you think about it, or you could skip by clicking next. And then after that, we put a trivia question to sort of like simulate thought about like the topic or related a statistic like related to the topic. Yeah, so that's the correct answer. It's 40%. And then we present a deeper fact about the issue in of itself. So we have that, yeah.
And then at the end, we want to do a mental health check-in just to make sure that all the players are feeling okay, because we know that these topics can be very deep and emotional. So we just ask them how they're feeling. And we have empowered, okay, uncomfortable, but okay. And if you click that was too dark, it asks you, would you like to go to a lighter topic? And we just ensure the user that it's okay to feel overwhelmed, and we need to disengage and take breaks when learning about such hefty topics.
Okay, that is all, but okay, 1 minute remaining. I don't think we have
Oh yeah, we wanted to show like a little bit of our process since we were in a rush when we made our slides. So we wanted to show like, oh, okay, we did some user research. We also made this flow map to like kind of map out all the components in our app. And what else did we do? We had this whole Notion to like organize all our stuff. Love Notion, guys, you should use it. When we were doing brainstorming, we like did sustainability versus social justice, discussed everything.
Sorry to cut you off. Time is up. Thank you guys for presenting. All right, so next we will have Mana present, or sorry, Name 30 present their product Mana, except they weren't able to make it today for the presentation. So then we will go on to team Best Team Ever, who will be presenting their product Carbonology.
Hi guys, let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, so you can see the slides.
Okay, sorry, there's something wrong with my laptop. Sorry, 1 second.
It's all right.
Oh, now it works. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hi, wait, sorry. Who's presenting right now?
Us.
Oh, huh. I thought there was another team. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so to begin with, just like a short introduction about ourselves. So I'm Angel, and I'm a senior year student studying in Berkeley, major in media studies.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I go to UC Davis and I'm majoring in design and communications.
I'm Ryan, and I'm a UCI student who's studying CS. And we also have a fourth member who is a little bit busy right now, and her name's Anne, and we're Carbonology. And so the question is, what is Carbonology, right? And Carbonology is an app that provides convenient access to important sustainability information for, common household products. And we do this by just simply scanning products so that whenever a user scans a product, they can see important information about that. But being eco-friendly isn't really all that simple, and we know that. And so we also provide like a multi-tiered reward system for just to give some incentives to help people be eco-friendly. But I think we can talk a little bit more about that later. And why don't we just dive straight into the user design and research.
So the purpose of this app was to help users reduce their carbon footprint. So food waste is a really big problem right now in regards to carbon footprint, especially in America, with less than half of the food being properly composted. Because of this, food isn't being utilized to the fullest and carbon emissions increase. Next slide. So when conducting some research, we noticed some patterns and problems. These included people not knowing where to that they were creating carbon footprint, and they believed sustainability was a costly lifestyle to maintain, or they were aware, but they didn't know where to start in their sustainable journey. Next slide. So how might we design an app for users to be engaged with sustainability and check if an item's impact on the environment and further learning about sustainability? Next slide. So delving deeper into research, we learned a few things. One, people with low knowledge of sustainability were more likely to recycle with financial incentives, while people with high knowledge didn't need those financial motivations to recycle. Two, most Americans want to be more engaged with reducing their waste. And three, people aren't educated on the process of recycling. Next slide. So elaborating more on the last point, why Americans aren't recycling, it's not that people don't recycle. People do, but they do it incorrectly due to a lack of information on which plastics can be recycled and where to recycle them. Next slide. Even if they do recycle, the recyclables are contaminated, saying oil coating the inside of a glass sauce container. And it makes it unrecyclable. This goes back to the point of people not being aware and having the lack of information to properly recycle items. Next slide. So aside from the lack of information, that isn't the only thing that we noticed during our research, but the lack of access to recycling bins, recycling opportunities, and the effort to separate each recyclable was too much for people. Next slide.
Okay, so going into we did a few method and user research to go through our to be able to access our project, and we did some simple interview to our roommates, since we only have limited times. And so the key question is oh, what do you believe is a reason that Americans don't recycle, and do you consider the product's carbon footprint? And most of them don't, and think that it's actually not and the reason for American that they don't recycle is because it's time consuming. It's annoying to search up every items, and also it's inconvenient. So we also do a user persona, and so Kaylin is a housewife who has a 6 household size, which is pretty big, pretty large. And since due to the reason that she has a really large household size, then her carbon footprint and general waste can add up quickly. And she's looking for an app that can help her to better manage and compare the products that can be trashed. And her challenge is she's a beginner at sustainability and doesn't know where to start. So we also look up a few pain points for our project. So so to summarize the 4 pain points, which is time consuming, and it is not easy to find a recycle bin. Well, it's sustainability is a long-term lifestyle change, and it's hard to make a sudden change of it. And also some people are new beginner, just like Caitlin, and they don't know where to start with. So
I'm actually going to cut in really quick, because speaking of time consuming, we're also running a little bit out of time. So I want to go ahead and start with demoing our product.
Sure.
So can I go ahead and share my screen really
Yes.
quick? Let me go ahead and do this. Go inside here. All right. Can you guys all see our mockup? Yes? Good? Okay. So when a user accesses our app, once they sign in, they're going to go straight into our homepage, right? And for our targeted demographic, right, our users are going to be people who are really interested in being eco-friendly. And so they want to be able to know what can push them to the next distance, right? What will give them a little bit of an extra edge in the sustainability game, right? So for example, what activities are interesting, some interesting news. But let's talk more about the more important part, which is the actual scanning of our products, right? Because the idea is users should be able to get detailed information about products really, really easily. We can go ahead and scan their product, and we can see, boom, there's a little bit of pop-up. But let's take a look at the product more in detail. So you can see, for example, this is a bag of potato chips, a specific type, but you can also take a look at the carbon footprint that this thing creates, which tracks the life cycle of carbon emissions from the start to the very end, right? So you can see the various information about recycling, whether or not it's biodegradable. And you guys might not know, potato chips aren't actually recyclable. They go straight into the trash, right? So you can see that we can look at products really quickly by just scanning them. So maybe if you're at a grocery store, you can look around, but also you can search up products, right? And there's a filter function for that. But I want to get through everything, see whatever time we have left. So we also have a location. So like I said, product doesn't end at just the production. It lasts because maybe if you throw it into the trash or if you recycle it, you need to be able to know where that goes. So we're going to put that into a location thing where you can see, the various different recycling centers that you have around you, maybe e-waste, compost bins that can help you. And with all of this, this will help you give you some sort of score. And I'm going to talk about that really quickly, where we have a rewards page that tries to incentivize users to be as, eco-friendly as possible. And using this reward system, you can try and compete with other people and be like, hey, are you one of our top, sustainable users? And that's really, really important. And hopefully this creates a positive feedback loop within the sustainability community so that people can become more and more sustainable. And we might be right out of time.
Redeem the points as well to show.
Yeah, so there's also points, so you can redeem points for rewards, and that provides a financial incentive. Wow,
Thank you,
7 minutes
Ryan.
really goes by quick. So, all right, we're carbonology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, so after carbonology, we have Team Sigma Figma Chai.
Hi, but yeah,
Um,
A for effort. Awesome. I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited. This was fun, first off. So thank you to you guys for putting this on. But yeah, introduction wise, this is Team Figma Sigma Chi. This is me. I'm Michael. I'm on the team. Crystal, Amanda, Brett. We're basically the 1992 Chicago Bulls of UX. So we'll go on to the next slide and start getting into it. This is our program, Read Easy. Sorry, I should introduce it. Read Easy. We'll go more in depth onto what we were doing here. Yeah, so starting things off, we really wanted to find a good middle ground. So brainstorming, had to get into it. This is just a little board we put together as a team to help us figure out where we wanted to go with it, find things like users, necessity, and just overall outcomes and first steps. So we found our problem. We wanted to attack social justice. Going more in depth on that, we wanted to look at book bannings that are happening across the country currently. This is a very serious topic. And it's something that people are starting to get more into. There's been a lot of trendiness going on with it on social media. So we thought this is very timely and impactful. So we started getting into things like users. We wanted to look at middle school and high school, things of that nature. We started coming up with hypothesis, how we thought we wanted to see this come out. And we started looking at things of user outcomes and benefits and started to put together our list to the left of just order of operations, how we were going to execute on this. So obviously we started getting into asking our professor. We'll get into that. And we'll just go on to the next slide. We'll start getting into how we really attack this whole problem.
So if I have a problem, we're also going to need to define who we're designing for. Who are our users and what kind of flows, experiences are they expecting to have? So we want to do a product statement to ground our process. Something, how the current the current book banning wave that we've seen recently in America. I'm sure all of y'all have probably heard about mouse being banned recently in some schools, specifically in Virginia, and how this is censoring authors, the ideas that they produce, and cutting off whole generations of students from that knowledge. So we believe that having a system that allows for the sharing, the access of that knowledge, the education of children in lieu of schools being legally able to do that it will increase knowledge and awareness on the issues that these books covered and the reasons that they were banned. So we created our personas, Kayla and Toby, Kayla being a curious middle school student who just wants to know what's going on, why are these books she loves reading, why are these being banned, and Toby, who is an activist in high school and wants to make a mark, make a move for this movement.
After our personas and our brainstorming, we also kind of figured out what kind of features we wanted, what did we want to include within our app. We went through, after using the personas, frustrations, pain points, and what they wanted to accomplish through our app, we created user flows, and through the user flows, we also created an information architecture, or IA, of our app of how things would flow with it. You can go to the next slide, Brett.
Sweet, yeah. So after we figured out what was going to be in the app, we started looking at how are people going to operate in it. So we went back to our personas, using what we had already come up with. And we started looking at journey maps. This is really important because with such a small time limit and the ability to have 8 screens, we really wanted to make sure we nailed it on the head. It's better to do it right the first time than to pay and do it again. So we came up with 2 user flows, journey maps for Toby and Kayla. And we looked at things of how would they operate in this. We saw that Toby, being someone who wanted to get more information and help push the conversation of what was going on with book bannings. So we gave him the idea that he needed to start bringing awareness to this, and that was part of his journey flow. Kayla, we started looking at things of how can people get access to these books? It's great to inform people, but at the same time, how can we give them the ability to get access to books that they probably won't get to see in their classroom or even their school library or possibly their local library? So we also wanted to arm people with tools and the access to these books, and that's something we'll explore later when we go prototype.
Amanda, you want to take this?
Okay, yeah, it was lagging for a second. Okay, so we didn't have a lot of time to spend on our aesthetics and the style, and that's not really the important thing about our app, but still it can be fun to look and see how you can relate a issue or a problem back to history. So throughout research, I was kind of reminded of like in Nazi Germany when they were burning books. And then I started thinking about prohibition, and then I started thinking about speakeasies, and then that's where Read Easy came from. And then this is where we got our color scheme and our logos, and that's about it for here.
I'm going to try to out of this so I can get over to the meat and bones of the project. The prototype, first going through Toby's flow.
So Toby wanting to accomplish finding out more information and how to support it. We created, if you saw our information architecture earlier, this is kind of how it works. There would be a bunch of different categories with tags, so you know kind of like the gist of what you're going through, and you could scroll between each of the books and continuously just find and look for more. So if we go to Two Boys Kissing, which is kind of the book that we wanted to focus in on, that caught our attention, we can see why it was banned, where it's been banned in the United States, and how you can access the book. And then
and then Toby, our advocate, our persona, would also be interested in sharing, in starting a conversation about maybe specifically this book, or maybe why this book was banned and why that's a problem. And then she would tweet about it. She would share it to her Twitter and tweet, and then she could have a discussion with her friends and cohort on there.
Then moving on to Kayla's flow, wanting to learn more about what's going on, we thought, okay, she might not know what endangered books are. We want to go in here with the same basic layout of these books that are not necessarily banned currently, but threatened to be banned by legislature or school boards, etc. It's going to the Great Gatsby, for instance. You can see the same basic information along with she wants to purchase this book, wants to know what's up about it. So you're able to go in, links you to an external site where you're able to purchase it.
Right, can you go back really fast and show just because I know we have a very
absolutely
time. Go back to the Great Gatsby and show those the options to purchase the book, because the prototype is slightly behind on Zoom.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this was also part of it. We wanted, like I said earlier, we wanted to give access in many different ways, whether that be purchasing it or using programs that already exist, such as at the bottom, American Library Association, which is a reference that we used a lot throughout this whole project, where they offer free reading to anyone who may struggle to read by themselves, whether they be dyslexic or just have ADHD and not be able to really focus on reading words on a book. So there are options like this we had to keep in mind, because like we said, we wanted to arm students and give them the ability, no matter their like what they're enabled with, to be able to read these. Yeah.
Sorry, time is up.
No, that's actually perfect. Awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, thanks finalists for presenting. You all did amazing, and it was great seeing your work in action. That's it for our presentations, but make sure to come to our closing ceremony at 6 p.m. PST on a different link. But yeah, bye.